This is where the nuns used to stay. And this one here is the bakery where we used to make the bread. And this one is the black hole. Gives me the shivers. Horror memories, terrible memories of this place. Oh, what horror. The coach suggested that I would be put into an orphanage with the Sisters of Mercy. I would have been about 1 or 2, and I stayed there till I was 16.
Just all of a sudden, the cruelty man came along, with a couple of Gardaí, and took the children away, and then up the court the next day in front of a Judge Murphy, and sentenced us to be detained into the loving care of the Christian Brothers,
On my papers it actually says I was sentenced to 14 years detention.
We didn't commit a crime. I want to know what crime we committed. I didn't commit any crime, not that I know of anyhow, unless it was a crime for me to be born.
When I went there first, I thought it was going to be a grand place because we were told we were going there to be looked after and everything like that. But we weren't looked after.
When you're in an institution and they know you've got no people behind you, they come running to you. You've got no mum and dad. Or technically, they can do what they like. You're just a number.
As soon as we were able to work and move your arms, they had you working in the bakery and the laundry and
Separate the excrement from the sheets, wash them, do a bit of washing by hand and then put them into a machine.
we used to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and make bread for the nuns, and they used to sell that bread and get paid for it. But we were the ones that were hungry. I can't remember having proper meals, very little, always hungry.
One boy, he asked for extra bread, and he got beaten from one end of the refectory down to the kitchen. He died 3 days later. He died just for asking for more. Rocky Lane beat him, and he was good with his fists. I believe he was a bare knuckle fighter in the fairgrounds before he got his vocation.
You tried to stand up to these nuns, but it was very, very difficult. They were very vicious, and I have to say this, they were very, very vicious.
You were left to kind of grow up kind of in a vacuum, but in a very dangerous vacuum, where lots of violence went on, where you never knew what would prompt a violent assault on you.
To sexually abuse a child is the most inhuman thing that you can do to any human being. It's animalistic as far as I'm concerned. Do I consider the 2 people that done it animals? Yes. And I always will. Will I forgive them? Never.
I was just living in fear and terror, waiting for them to come. Just waiting for them. But, and they always came. They always came.
You could never learn properly, you were more or less bullied all the time. You went to school in fear most of the time.
They didn't want to educate you on the outside world. They wanted you to work for them for whatever money they get from outside. I didn't even know how to write my name. You really didn't know what the world was. You didn't know how to handle yourself in the world at all.
I mean, when I left there, I turned to, of course, sex, drugs, drink. And that's the way I lived like the first 25 years, I think.
99.9% of people who are in institutions are on social welfare payments because they neither have the education or the will or the way of getting jobs. This country has to hang its head in shame and say, we allowed it happen because they did allow it happen.
Everyone knew. The nuns who didn't hit us knew we were being hit. They knew we were being abused. So I think the people who kept quiet are as guilty as the people who actually did the violence.
It's a document where they sold it off. This is terrible, selling this place off. It's not true. This is not true at all. Why don't they tell the truth? What went on there? That they didn't educate these children, didn't educate us. We were their slaves. There's no other word for it. We were their slaves. And until the Irish government wakes up and talks about this open like I am today, we will never get justice.